right, welcome to the Fan Fuel Podcast, Slick Track Edition. I am here at East Bay Raceway Park with Garrett Alberson, one of your winners at the Wild West Shootout earlier in January. Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I'm out of Dubuque, Iowa currently. Grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Been racing dirt cars since about 2004, late models since about 2010. And this is going to be our first year racing with Lucas Oil Series full time, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, congrats on that. I guess you're going for Rookie of the Year, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, here's your 3 envelopes.
All right.
You pick one, whichever one you want.
Okay.
He has chosen B. And number 1, what is a sponsor you would like to see come into the sport?
Let's kind of say, I mean, we've got a lot of really good, the sponsors that are working into this dirt market are doing a really good job, it seems like. And it seems like it's a pretty good booming market, especially on the media, like the streaming platforms are really taking a lot of, taking off with it. Right. So that seems like it's going pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you're like almost a nobody now if you don't have Dirt on Dirt, Flow Racing, and MAV TV Plus, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's wild.
And number 2, what got you into racing?
Well, my uncle and my dad started racing cars. My dad raced motorcycles back when he was a kid and a teenager, and so he just always kind of had to racer in them. And then a couple of my uncles and my dad started racing cars, probably 1987 or something like that, and I was born in 89, so they'd already been racing cars for a year or two when I was born, so I just kind of was born into the family racing.
That says a lot right there. Number 3, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years in your racing career?
Well, I'm hoping that we'll get to where we can win some Lucas races and get ourselves eventually where we compete for points. That's always been the goal, is to learn how to be consistent as a driver, and the car is always evolving, so you always got to stay on top of the car. But for me as a driver, for sure, get to where I can win races and just be consistent and give ourselves a shot at running for points more often.
Well, the reason I know you said you got to keep up with these cars, I know you also crewed for quite a few years without driving all full season. So did that help get you better up to speed in the cars?
A little bit. I mean, definitely kind of gives you an idea of how it all goes on in a year's worth of national racing, as far as how fast it changes and what you got to look for, as it's changing, and how to go about communicating with people about stuff like that. The biggest thing I think that helped me on that was just seeing how little the good drivers actually worry about that stuff when their car's right. Like, that was cool about racing with Earl, is when we had his car close, he wouldn't worry about adjusting this and that. He was usually just worrying about the track and what he had to do, and that taught me a lot about what a driver needed to do.
Awesome. Number 4, do you have a pre-race ritual?
Pre-race ritual? Well, I've always kind of chewed gum for some reason, and I'm not superstitious really, so I don't know if I have anything there, but I try to stay hydrated and do the things that it takes for your body to operate right, because it can be demanding, and you just got to be focused the whole time, for sure.
All right. Number 5, how did you get into the level of competition that you are now super? Meaning, where did you start racing and your climb all the way to super late model?
It's a long, crazy journey. We started out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and there really wasn't any dirt late model racing there. So we were kind of in the middle of nowhere for dirt racing, late model racing anyways. There's some good dirt tracks, but Dave Dietz, first guy I ever drove for in a late model, he had this old car, got it out of the weeds that he'd raced back in the 90s, and wanted to put it together and go race the Wild West Shootout. Well, I didn't know anything about the Wild West Shootout or late model racing, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you put this thing together. And we went over there and just got our butts kicked like bad, but we kind of got the late model bug, and so we just kind of stayed at it and kept on getting our butts handed to us, but for some reason it just seemed like the right thing to do, so we just stayed after it. And probably the biggest thing I did in my career was get hooked up with Ronnie Stuckey and moved to Louisiana and and got to work for Ronnie and build cars, and just kind of went head first into the whole late model game, you know. And that was probably the biggest thing that we did to move us in the direction that I am now. And then now hooked up with Ken Roberts, car owner. He just, you know, Ken's awesome to drive for, and just loves to run fast. You know, whatever we got to do to be a fast car, you know, he's there to, you know, put the pieces together, and that's been really awesome.
Good. So your expectations for 2022?
Well, I mean, I know it's gonna be a long road, just on my lack of experience driving a lot of these tracks. You know, a lot of new tracks, and then we're gonna be night in, night out against the best guys in the country in this Lucas Oil Series. So, biggest thing is learn as a driver to minimize mistakes and just make speed. You know, just make speed the best I can, and just try to be consistent, you know, and not tear stuff up too much. I mean, you gotta kind of finish the races and stuff, but I would love to get us some top fives. I mean, you always want to win races, you know, so I think there's potential there. If we could just learn what we need to do to put ourselves in place for a whole night. I mean, who's to say you couldn't win a race? But I mean, these guys are the best in the country, so main thing is just learn, make better decisions on my end as a driver, and try to get some top fives in there.
All right, number 7. Is there a race you've never run but would love to run in?
Well, I got to go to the Dome this year, and that was actually one that I had circled. And unfortunately, we only got hot laps in qualifying, and it broke, and we was fast time in our group qualifying. And so we didn't get to actually run the race. That might count there, you know, because I was really looking forward to racing, you know, at the Dome. We never quite got to.
I know, I could tell in your voice in the interview you were disappointed when that happened.
But
number 8 would be, what is your number, even though you may drive for a team that uses a different number?
Well, actually, it's kind of cool. Ken's always been big on 58, was always his dad Herschel's number. And whenever we went back to one car, he wanted to make sure he had 58 on the car. And my uncle that started the car race in the family was number 58, so that's kind of cool. But then my dad started racing with 241, and that was my first racing number. So that's kind of why we got the 241 on the car. So it's kind of cool to be able to add them together.
Yeah, and still got family tradition in there.
Yep, exactly.
All right, and number 9, when you win, have you ever thought about starting a new celebration trend? And if so, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't know. Not the only thing I can think of, but I think I've seen other people do. It's like, you know, it's so hard to win anymore. It's just so many good cars, and everybody works so hard at it. Sometimes you just gotta like sit and soak it up somehow, you know what I mean? So sometime you might see me just sit on that car or lay down on the roof and just try to soak it all in while you have the chance. I don't know.
All right, now the last one. If you became a team owner, you had 2 cars, who would be the 2 racers you would hire?
Man, at the moment, it'd be, you're just talking about guys right now?
Oh, it could be back in the past.
Oh, back in the past.
You know, I mean, it's your call. I mean, it could be your dream team.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm not as well versed in the you know, late model races of the past as I should be. But for sure, I mean, right now that Brandon Shepherd's hard to beat as a driver. He's just so versatile, and he just doesn't do a whole lot of dumb stuff. He's incredible. Overton obviously he's the same way. Just don't put a foot wrong hardly ever. You know, he just makes good decisions all the time, and I don't know, them 2 are hard to beat right now for sure.
So if you would have a team Brandon, that's what you would say. Right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it'd be hard not to at the moment. Them guys are awesome.
I hear you. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out and give us an interview. And we'll get this up on Facebook and Twitter for Fanfield Motorsports, and then I'll share it to you and Garrett Alberson racing page and everything, so all you fans can enjoy it too.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, we got to thank a couple sponsors. Sea Valley Transportation for staying with us this year. Romer Machine Welding, Lucas Oil Products, C&W Trucking's come on board with us this year. Bill Norton with Nutrien, Bill Sports Shop's been a big help to our team, and Black Diamond Chassis, obviously, you know, we race Black Diamond race cars, and they've been really good to work with, and they're kind of like family to me for sure. sure. So that means a lot. And Sunoco Race Fuel, Hoosier Tire, Swift Springs. We just got a ton of good people with us. That it's really humbling to have as many people behind us as we do. So that's really cool. Done Right TV has been with us the whole time, and yeah, it's just a lot of good people. And anybody that's with us that I've missed there real quick, but yeah, that's it.
Well, you got a good looking ride. It's sharp and it's clean, and hopefully the best success you can be, and maybe you can pull that Lucas Oil Rookie of the Year out.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're hoping for.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.